Hello my friend, this is Dr. Cher. I have decided to do this little video today to clarify a few things about my UFO experiences and what I do. I am a human detector. A human detector means somebody you can't lie to. I was not always a human detector. I used to work in construction. I had a dream to become a recording artist and graduated from the Royal School of Music in London. So there is a lot of things that happened in between, and that's what I'm going to clarify today. I was born and raised in Provence, France, in the south of France, where the great prophet Nostradamus was born. Again, I have nothing to do with Nostradamus, apart from that I was born under the same very stars in Provence and spent countless years following many UFO experiences to rekindle his rare 16 divine astrology methodology, which has nothing to do again with the astrology you read, you learn, you teach, or your daily horoscope. Total waste of time. Alright, now, my latest TV show with William Shatner's on the Weird and What series TV show, I have elaborated so much on those UFOs experiences and give them very solid proof of my predictions. But as you know, I am not with the editors when the final product is broadcast on national TV to the media. So there is a lot of things that was not said on this show. While William Shatner did a phenomenal job, there is a lot of things that you need to know. First, realize that being a human detector didn't happen overnight, and sad enough it does create a lot of enemies with my friends and foes, because this is what I do. Again, being a human detector, there is no room for lies, because I get my information from the cosmic code jurisdictions, from the stars. And when I read the UCI, or the unique celestial identity of one of my friends, a speaker, or any famous person, President Obama, which won't be re-elected by the way, then, you know, it comes down to it, the star don't lie. It's not me talking. It's the translation of the cosmic code, or how God speaks to his children through his universal celestial designs. And that brings a lot of animosity to a lot of people who do not understand me. I got nothing against any of my friends. And if they screw up, it's because I have millions of people that read my work all over the world in my Cosmic Code newsletters, and they ask questions about these people. Some, firmly believe they have the reincarnation of famous dead people. So be it. I just explain to the person in question who asked that question, and to all my readers, what is really going on here. So there is no room for lies. And the truth never ever intended to be soft or to please anybody. And that's what brings a lot of people to hate Dr. Cher, because I say the truth. There is nothing that stops any one of these people to dig into my life, and trust me, they have tried and they worked over it over time, trying to find anything wrong with me. If I've been to jail, if I am a molester, if I steal something, I don't know. I mean, the option is there given to you to write about me and expose myself like I expose you, whomever you are. Again, remember, the expert in ufology, are very often the least people who knows nothing whatsoever about UFOs, because they have never ever dealt with the UFO in no way, shapes or forms. But hey, you know what? Grandpa was a very famous politician, or I have a name from somewhere. The only fame my grandfather had is that he had stumbled on the German mine and blew up both of his legs. So Grandpa cannot help me in the ufology world. So when it comes down to it, exposing not only the truth, but the people that supposed to talk about something they have no clue about. They either read something, they heard something, they watch a few videos. Whoa, wait a minute here. If you want to deal with the truth, where you find the truth, and that's Dr. Cherry. Now, how can I be and remain modest when I have been left with such an incredible legacy by the extraterrestrials? So many people talk about UFOs, but prove to me they're real. Hell yeah, I'm going to prove it to you, but don't expect me to show you a toy or a tool, because anti-gravity, antimatter, does not agree with that. But on a psychic level, on a spiritual level, they left me with more proof than what you can handle if you take the time to do your homework, do some of the mental gymnastics requested to investigate Dr. Cherry. Then let's talk again. This being said, you have the atheists, the agnostics, the skeptics, the scientists. They are the first one to attack me. Well, you're not a doctor. You got your PhD from God knows what. To them I said, doctors are the third reason for hundreds of thousands of people dying every single year in the United States. And since I did this job, since I'm forced and led into this field of ufology and healing and psychic, whatever you want to name me, since then I never killed anybody. Just the opposite. If you read the constant, endless endorsement coming my way, and when you have not a doctor, a professor, okay, saying to you, Dr. Turi, I have learned too much more in your week home crash course than 7 years in college. This is what's going on. This young soul, as I call them, haven't yet learned that there is a big difference between education, a supreme gift, and intelligence. And sad enough, as Einstein said, it's a miracle that curiosity survives education. With this new dragon that hits the world sometime in August 30th, anything that is mystical, metaphysical, anything that is under the table, secrets, will have to come to light. Now, it was easy for me to write, date it, printed, published in my books that the FBI were going to be caught doing something stupid with prostitutes and the rest of the story. If you go to drcherry.com and you scroll all the way down, you're going to have a set of 22 predictions, and many of them already have come to pass. But you need to be curious. You cannot assume anything about me unless you know who I am and where I came from. And this is why today I decided to clarify a few things about ufologists, about science, about UFOs, and about what censure is all about. There's no censure with me. I'm gonna say the truth. And this is why, regardless of the thousands of endorsements sent to very famous TV hosts Oprah Winfrey, and God knows how many we've tried to reach to get me on their show, okay? None of my people, none of the people that have endorsed me, none of their requests has been granted, because Dr. Turi is much too real. Dr. Turi can tell you if Obama, by miracle, against the order of the stars, gets elected and we get assassinated. When I say that on national radio, on my good friend George Norrie radio show, it freaks a lot of people, and you wonder why those guys don't invite me no more. Hey, what about the First Amendment? What about saying the truth for a change? What about dealing with the truth for a change? Guess what? You got it with me. If you have a question, if you wonder about something or somebody, and it's not me talking, understand that. It's not me. I'm just Dr. Turi. I'm like you. I'm a human being. Okay? But something takes place from the legacy left by the extraterrestrials that opened that person's psyche, that corporation endeavors, the politicians' past, that allows me to expose it, fully expose it in front of you. And as I said earlier, when you read the truth about yourself, if you are either a friend, a foe, or somebody I choose to investigate, oh, of course you're not going to like me. Oh, you're not going to like me. You're not going to appreciate the beauty of being a true light worker, which is refusing to feed evil, which is refusing to endorse all those talking heads, those apocalyptic promoters, all these conspiracy talking heads that are feeding on your fears. It's the end of the world of the year 2012. The government is going to put everybody in jail. Oh my gosh. Those people have no cosmic consciousness. And when cosmic consciousness is missing, the only thing you have, I'll tell you what it is: science, religion, and conspiracies. And three of them don't have the true answers you're looking for. I do. Now put me on the test. I guess you already did. I told you Obama won't be elected. And if he does, hey, it's time for me to change job, right? Because when I was on Art Bell in 1995, and I predicted Clinton was going to be re-elected, or Bush was going to be re-elected, I looked at the stars and I was right then. When I mentioned to be ready for a universal religious war that was completely going to restructure the Middle East, look what, it's happening right now. And that was well before, again, we went into Iraq. Okay, changed the government, and well before Mr. Osama bin Laden was enemy number one of the United States of America. But you need to go and check me to find out what the essence of the truth is all about. And remember, a magnet will not attract a piece of wood. That's the law. If you don't vibrate on my level, if you don't request for the truth, if you want to be deceived, then you're not going to be in my energy. You're not going to be part of the 0.001%. You're going to be part of the 99.09% of unconscious human being walking this earth, denying the glory of the Creator through His celestial design, because you haven't been taught. You can only react to someone because of your education, your experiences, your intelligences, most of all because of your stars. And your stars may not necessarily agree with your brother, your sister, or your child. Right there at home, in the nucleus of your home, you already have problems with mom and dad, brothers, sisters, friends, and God knows what. You are nothing else than a walking robot responding to the universal code, interacting with your mind every single day. But sad enough, our educated scientists cannot see the other side of my hand and see those stars as dead rock hanging there for the sake of beauty. In fact, science has lost the spirit. And the result is the tremendous chaos you have out there, with nobody being able to talk to themselves. How does this translate? Well, look at the political thing. Right? You have the left, you have the right, you have the center. You have so many variety in the political front that qualify you to adhere to one of your politicians. Well, your politician, your specific political leader has a UCI, which means he's going to say things like, hey, I endorse anything that dwelt with Obama, or anything that is related to abortion. Whoa, wait a minute here. Is your UCI is loaded with Neptunian qualities. That means you are naturally prone to save life, which is an honor, which is beautiful, don't get me wrong. If you have a very strong Aries in your chart, chances are you want to keep your gun. Well, someone else who has a very different UCI than you says, well, they're going to use this gun to kill my children. Not realizing, of course, the gun don't kill. It's the person behind the gun that kills. The moron who is allowed to buy this gun or steal the gun if he's a crook. So what are you going to do? How are you going to fix that? You're going to build more churches, and you're going to build more jails, and you're going to build more sports buildings. Yeah! And you wonder why the extraterrestrials are picking people like me? Yes. We are an experiment, and they're looking for somebody more than the Joe six-pack out there in order to get those genes, valuable physical and spiritual genes, and to repopulate every single place in the eternity that's above our head. Because every single sun that you see, every single planet out there supports life, but not life as you see it as a little human being. You're like a fish. You're in your world. You perceive only your world, your watery world. You were designed by God to live in the ocean. You're a fish. Now you're not supposed to go to Mars or Venus for that matter, because God did not design the stars for that purpose. God created the stars in the heavens to be used as signs so that you may lead a more protective and safer life. That's why God created the stars. But when you are led by the Illuminati to believe anything, when the source of information is controlled at the very, very core 2,000 years ago, how the hell do you expect to be able to grow spiritually and to perceive the truth as I do? Raising cosmic consciousness and freeing humanity from fear and ignorance is my mission. And only if you ask, you shall receive. And if you do not vibrate at my level, you are going to start to assume anything at all. And you'll be a million miles away yourself from the truth. So give yourself a chance. Do your homework. Don't assume. Check Dr. Cherry. Then you'll do yourself a great favor in the long run. Not just yet. Now let's talk about those UFOs that William Shatner did not involve in the movie that I just did with him. Yeah. You see this? This is me. I'm about 5 or 6 years old. This is Dr. Cherry. You see those two guys here? That's all I used to say in the morning to my mom. Mom, things like monkeys with big black eyes come every night and they bug me, they scare me. Mom, Mom. What did my mom say? It's just a dream, Louis. You know, in 1956 or 57, when these things happened to me, we didn't have radio, we didn't have television, we didn't have cell phone, we didn't have bathroom, we didn't have electricity, for God's sake. That's where I came from, the freaking street. That's why I have learned and own experiences. That's where God made me an ADHD, if you like it. Where I cannot sit 5 minutes because the tremendous amount of energy that I'm built with, the mercurial intellectual energy that was granted with, does not allow me to sit like any other kid in that class and learn from a teacher that could be very well wrong. And chances are many of them are wrong. Because what cannot be seen or touched doesn't mean doesn't exist. Remember? Here, there, it's real. If you have the mind, the drive, the curiosity, and the UCI to investigate it. Being an ADD is the best thing that can happen for a child, in fact. Of course, you need to discipline him, okay, to learn how to write, how to think, not to be a moron in front of his friends, right? Or in life in general, you need an education. But the very purpose, because there are no accidents, only cosmic circumstances which are not yet understood by science, and 99.09% of the world population, an unconscious world population I may add, okay? There is no accident for me to have been an ADD or an AHDD. And you know how they fixed that in 1956, 57? They fixed it with electric shock in the head. Because Prozac, Ritalin, and all the junk that you sign up for, guess what? They don't exist. They said, oh, we need to get Louis and have his head shacked up because he's amusing the class. He cannot sit 5 minutes. It's like, it's ridiculous. That's why they fired me out of school. I was 14 years old. But my mom had common sense. She says, no, I ain't going to do that. I'm going to let him run around the walls until he comes down. Had my mom turned me into a zombie, I wouldn't be talking to you today. And guess what? All the skeptics, agnostics, atheists, guess what? Why don't you go to France? Why don't you start your life in a tramway? Destitute, with no money, in a foreign country. Why don't you learn the language without going to school? Because I never went to school, neither how to type. And guess what? I type faster than what you can read with 2 fingers. Guess what? I'm asking you, all the skeptics, agnostics, and atheists, and scientists, and graduated, and PhDs, I ask you, would you have the balls to do that? Learn a foreign language, and on top of that, breach the essence of the human spirit and challenge every scientific investigation that has been done on the function of the human mind. Dr. Turi does it. Your mind is nothing else than a piece of flesh encrusted into the bony head so that it's protected. Same weight, same density, same function than any other human mind. In other words, there are no difference between the brain of Einstein, my brain, or the one of a killer, your mother or sister. It's the same thing. Absolutely the same thing. It's a computer reacting to another computer. It's called the universal mind. So when those morons are digging down and desiccating the brain of Einstein to find out why the guy was a genius, guess what? You don't look down to find the keys, what it means to be human. You look above into the universal mind. But you need to have the right education. You need to have the right coaching, the right people to educate you. And this is why the educational system is failing miserably. This is why they're spending and wasting billions of tax dollars in ridiculous researches to send you to live on Mars. Because these guys know you can't live on Mars, but they need to survive and pay for their bills, send the kids to college and pay for their insurances. It's an entity within an entity. It is specific interested groups, scientific groups that work for the pharmaceutical industry. They don't care about you. I was lucky as a child not to be poisoned with Prozac and Ritalin to have my head fried. Don't turn your child into a zombie. Mothers out there, if you're busy on the computer and you want to be on Facebook, well, guess what? Do something. Put him in a chain with your dog, but don't give him anything, any relaxant. Those drugs will mess his brain up, take his genius away, and your child will be nothing else than a normal moron, normal child, belonging to the 99.09% of the rest of the human race. Now don't take my comment personally, because if you do, you have an inferiority or an insecurity complex, because this is not a comment directed at you personally. Okay, so be objective when you listen to Dr. Cherry. Don't feel attacked, or don't think I am on an ego trip here today. Okay? Listen, investigate me, deal with the truth. You got a lot to gain, I promise you that. Now, when those ETs, later on I find out that they were the Greys, or the dignified robots, you know, the one that cuts the cows and fly the saucer, the workers. Okay? When I found out about the Greys, I understood why some of the kids in Russia, during the same period of time, were also seeing these monkeys with big eyes, because that's all I knew. That's the only thing I could tell my mom in the morning. And I was scared to death. I was scared to death. First time I saw them, I was punished. Again, remember I'm an ADD? So I was sent to sleep in the attic many, many times. And I had to climb up there with a candlelight. And my mom says to me, "I'll make sure to blow it up. You don't want to end up with fire in the house." And I was making sure to pick up a cat with me, because, you know, the house was owned by my grandfather. The German bomb blew up everywhere. We had gaps like this between the walls. We had, most of the time, we couldn't even afford to fix a window. The wind was going through that, rain, water, cockroaches, and rats bigger than our cats. That's where it came from, okay? And next door, the butcher was killing pigs, was killing cows. During those days, he didn't have anything involving health, as it is, regulations didn't exist, basically. So all this blood and gas, you know, passing in front of the house was a perfect invitation to all the freaking rats in the village, and of course with the cats. So because of that, we had a lot of cats. I mean, an army of cats. I love cats. And I always wanted to have a cat because it was cold. It was giving me warmth. That night, couldn't find a cat. I was pissed off. Well, went to bed. In the middle of the night, I felt something on my feet. I said, "Ooh, yes, a cat." But I didn't want to get up and lose the warmth that I accumulated under the bed, because it was snowing, windy like hell outside. It was cold. So I kick it. "Hey, come on top, come on top." Usually they come, and often they used to come with the big rat. So I woke up in the morning with, you know, what was left of the rat they'd been eating. Okay. But he didn't want to move. So I thought, I have to go and get it. So I sat on my little butt, and I looked in the bottom of my bed, and I saw 3 of those guys, 3 of them. But, you know, the regular 4 feet tall, big eyes. What the hell is that? Oh my gosh, trust me, I wasn't cold anymore. I started to sweat, and I hide away and said, let these things, please God, get away from me. Okay? And then, after a while, I looked through the blanket, find out if they still were there, right? They were there, and then one of them came very close, I mean, 2 inches from my face, these big, huge eyes, and I passed out. I just passed out of fright. Now imagine that the next day, my stepfather would say, "Well, you don't want to go up there, you're making up stories, you're lying." I says, no. When I was screaming, I was waking up the entire neighborhood, and, you know, I couldn't do anything because I was locked up in the attic, and I see those things every night. The one good thing is, I said, I always wake up in the morning, and I'm always home, I'm always here. And then this lasts for years. Nobody to explain it to me. Nothing, no radio, remember, no television. A little village in the south of France where I come from. Well, over the years, the visitation finally ceased, and I left it behind. Cut the story short, I got married a little bit too young. Next thing you know, things don't work. I end up in England. I ended up in England with a friend of mine. I had my guitar in a little bag. Nothing. How did I make money? Well, how did I survive? Playing guitar in the tubes until a bunch of guys came along and started to fight with me, because I didn't know in the tubes in London you had a mafia mafia where you cannot just sing and make money and take it away from the residents. So all the British have been in the hit out of me and threw everything on the rent, and then train come on and just crushed everything. So I was in trouble. So I stayed about 3 months in Victoria Station in London, and I remember I was very, very starving, very angry. You know, sometimes I found money, sometimes people gave me money. So I went shopping. And then I picked up the cheapest little tin I could find, and I took it back in Victoria Station. That was my home then. And then I opened it, and I started to eat it. It was pretty crunchy stuff. You know, interesting. Then I took my little translation book, and this is how I learned English. What dog food means. Wah! Yeah! And on experience, this is how I've learned English. I'm not making it up. Never ever have I took a single lesson in English. And for a Frenchman, I don't think I do too bad. Writing your language, teaching you the universal laws, and all the skeptics, atheists, and agnostic, can you do the same? Alright, so that is a form of respect you owe me. I don't care what you say. Now, there is much more incredible experiences involved in my life, people. And I tell you what, Amazon editorials are saying once you open this book, you cannot put it down. And it's a big, huge book, and the fonts are very small. So in here, you'll learn every single thing. I would tell you stories that you would simply not believe. And again, trust me, I got better things to do than make things up. This is true, absolutely true. That is a movie for anybody who wants to know how to reach the American dream, starting right from the scratch, totally destitute. And this book also teaches you the power of the superconscious in time and space. I cannot elaborate too much on that one, but what I can tell you is when my dad died and my stepfather and my mom came together, you know, they started to fight a lot, and every single day I was saying, is there any way you guys could talk and stop talking? I mean, stop screaming? And subconsciously, I didn't want to hear my parents, and all of a sudden I started to have a lot of discharge from both of my ears. And they took me to the doctor. They gave me 8,000 units of penicillin. They tried to stop the infection, and the doctor says, we can't stop it. There's nothing I can do. And I was slowly becoming deaf. Little did I know then that I was making a subconscious wish to not to hear my parents. And the supraconscious in time and space, who does not know the difference between your wishes or your fears, takes that as a wish. That's why you never feed evil. That's why you be careful not to listen to those apocalyptic promoters, those conspiracy talking heads feeding you with evil. You gotta be very careful. There are things you do not know. There is forces at work that are well above your head. So I was making a wish to become deaf. And then one day I had fight, and God knows what, I was 14 years old, I was in the street. That's it. Then where do I go? Who do I look for help? I went to Grandma. Guess what? Grandma never raises her voice. She never screamed. She's very gentle. She was, God bless her soul. And guess what? The very next day, both of my ears started to dry up. The infection was gone. Because I finally reached my wish. Not to hear my parents screaming at each other. Now this book is overloaded with experiences like this, involving the cancer that I bit, and God knows what. This is a priceless little book that you gotta read if you're responsible. If you really want to know Dr. Cherry and learn the best of the essence of my mission to free you from fear and ignorance, and introduce you to the new God, which is finally coming, okay? The reality of a creator and the stars, which are more than dead rocks. Read this book, Beyond the Secret. I promise you, you are going to really like it. I wrote many books though, many books. Remember, I'm a writing machine. But I really want you to read this one for good reasons. Hi. Telephone. Well, Tiranya is not here, so I will not pick up this phone, and I'm going to keep going here. Yeah, it's right, you know, real TV here. All right, so Then one day, I was so proud of myself. I always wanted to play piano. And of course, my piano teachers at the Audrey Weekend School of Music in Eastbourne, Sussex in England, connected with the Royal School of Music, told me, you know, Louis, right now you're what, 20, 26, 50, 60, 70, I have to think now because I'm 62, nearly 63, so I gotta think, make sure I don't make any discrepancy because my enemies are there to attack me. You know, like they were saying that, you know, I never graduated from the Royal School of Music, so I had to put all that stuff on the internet so I could shut them down. There was even somebody who said that this doesn't even exist. Anyway, it's all there. They are relentless. They really want to hurt me because they're jealous that I can do all that without having a PhD. They don't even know that I teach who's who in America. I teach NASA students, police officer, FBI agent, attorney. In fact, you have to be smart to deal with Dr. Cherry. You cannot be a moron and deal with my world, period. You have to be naturally smart, who own an advanced UCI or unique celestial identity, which is highly spiritual, in order to be able to deal with my energy. Now let's go back to that situation when she says to me, you're kind of a little bit too old to learn piano, you will never be able to do that. I took it so seriously, oh my gosh. Instead of smoking pot like those rich kids from Iran and Iraq, at the school, what I was doing, I was banging this piano non-stop. Non-stop. I was doing my arpeggio, I was learning, and guess what? I never forget that. Again, it's in my book. I graduated with a higher distinction mark. I was outside, I remember that day, it was in the city hall. We got a bunch of people, the room was full of people, and we had like 2 or 3 grand piano, I remember that. And I was outside messing up with the girls, so of course I completely missed the introduction. Then my name was called, so I ran in, and there's this guy all dressed in black with kind of a black tail in the back, you know. And he says, Louis, it's your turn to play your piece. I said, okay, I had it here. And then he led me to a big grand piano. And that's your piece you have to play. And he put it in front of me, right there. And I was at the piano, and I was looking at him, and I was looking at the music. And I was looking at him and looking at the music. And I was waiting, and I could hear the people in the back. Oh, he's frozen, or he cannot play, or something like that. And then he says to me, Louis, you gotta start to play. I said, you know what? I want to play, but you're in my way. He said, but I have to turn the page. I said, don't worry, here. And I get the music and I give it to him. He took off, and I started to play Premier 1. And of course, I had a standing ovation. The people were very happy, very shocked, very surprised. And then I made sure to do that before I went back home. And I got a telegram. We didn't have the internet those days, we didn't have telephone. I got a telegram for my teacher, my music teacher, telling me that I won the distinction cup and to bring my butt back to London to get the distinction cup. You know, this is my life. I do things in a very different way. So when people tell you you cannot do that or you cannot beat that, don't sign up for it. Just do not sign up for it. You know, I made a little video, a 4-minute video. I think it's called 2012 or Beyond 2012. Watch that video where I explain that your body is nothing else than a battery. You're made of positive and negative. I mean, black and white, up and down, God, devil, the yin and yang, the front, the back, the physical, the spiritual world, both are very real. So you're like a walking battery. And then the more people hurt you, the more you give in to people, the more you feed evil, the more you discharge your battery, and the less power you have to reach the superconscious in time and space, which is responsible not only for your fate and your future, but also for the future of humanity. Something, again, the world and science has not yet acknowledged. But I'm a little bit ahead of time. That's why you're here. So are you. That's why you're listening to me, right? We vibrate at the same way, the same level, the same speed. So we all have a lot of things to share. All right, so I was very proud. Then finally, I had this English band and I went into music and I got myself a recording deal with Philips Phonogram in Paris. Long story. Now, I reached my goal to have a record. Again, remember, during those days we didn't have CDs, we only had press records. And my first record sold over 40,000 copies, so I was on top of the world. And again, how it turned out, the result and everything else is in my book, Beyond the Secret, which you're not going to believe how lucky I was not to succeed in the music field. Oh my gosh, you read that. So, during those days, my brother was kind of a mafioso guy. He had discotheques, and hotels, and restaurants. Celebrities coming to his place. He was a big guy, you know. Joe was the big guy of the family. Always very wealthy, powerful. You know, knowing that I'm half French and half Italian, Sicilian, you know, this is part of our gene to do things the way we do. Meantime, the stars play a very important part of his fate and my fate, and your fate for that matter, okay? So, he says to me, Louis, why don't you come down to my discotheque and get on stage and sing to promote your record, or we can have it play and there's a DJ too. I said, okay, there you go down to south of France, something I've done a million times. And there I was. Now, Joe was living in a farm, maybe 2 or 3 miles from the village. I mean, it's a very remote, big, huge farm. He had his horses there. He had, you know, all this business going on there. And in France, we start life, I mean, because of his lifestyle, of course. You know, you start life around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and until the next day, 9 o'clock, when you have your breakfast, you go to bed. So you live upside down, okay? So that is something that you have to remember. That night, that was November 11, 1981. That night, like we did every single night, we were on the way to the discotheque. So we took off around 10 o'clock in the evening. You know, there's a little road through the vineyard, and then we go into the main road, take us to the highway. An hour later, we are in the discotheque, and there's nobody there. There's just, we got about to start the night, okay? 11:30, that's when we open. So we were driving through the vineyard, and Joe, during those days, had a brand new Mercedes, very reliable. Okay, I had an AMG. Those cars are extraordinarily reliable. German technology. We left the farm, and like we did every single night, we drove through the vineyard. And as we were driving through the vineyard, my brother was driving. On the right side, I saw some light. Light. But what was interesting about this light and different is that they were moving, and they seemed to be coming from above. Then I said to my brother Joe, hey, yo, is there people working here? You know, Joe is a Scorpio, the tough guy. You know, he goes, Louis, it's November. Grapes were picked up in September. In other words, shut up and don't talk to me. That's just the way it was. The way it is still. And we kept driving. And then the more we drove, the more those lights were coming towards us on the side. Because I was sitting there on the side of the car. And then, boing, boing, right there, on top of the car. On top of the car. Look at this. Right on top of the car. What you're looking at is me outside of the Mercedes. It's just past 10 o'clock, November 11, 1981. I am here. But before this, my brother and I, we were both looking through the windshield as the light coming, you know, full light. I mean, the entire, we didn't know it was a flying saucer at that point, of course. We had no idea it was a flying saucer. We could only see the light through the windshield because we were looking at it. And it was very, very brilliant, very, very bright. Then I said to my brother, what the hell is this? He says, I don't know. And this is where I saw, you know, the mafioso here, the big guy, when I said I'm going to go out, and he grabbed me and he says, hey, you ain't going to go out. You stay here, you crazy or what? I said, no, let me go. So I managed to get away from his grip. I opened the door, I went outside, and there I was looking above my head. I couldn't see nothing, remember? light, couldn't see nothing. The hell is that? There was no I fly helicopters. I took lessons, okay? And it was not a helicopter, so I know this. It was a humming sound, like type of sound, okay? And don't you believe that when you go under flying saucers 30 feet above, you're gonna get cooked or microwave, because it didn't happen to me, and I've done that a few times, inside and outside. Listen to this. Finally, the intelligence flying this machine shut the lights off. The big, huge light under the saucer off. All we had is, again, I pointed out to you again, is a kind of yellow, pinkish, goldish light coming right on top of me in the car. You see that? Now it took me a while. It took me a while for my eyes to adapt to the darkness, and then here it was, barely 30 feet above my head, round, suspended, motionless. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I start to scream every single bad word I knew in French, and asking my brother to get out of the car to give a good look. Of course he did not. The big brother did not. You know, he's the type of guy which is a skeptic, atheist, agnostic, only the fact, only the truth, and this and that. This guy, that night, November 11, 1981, got a 4x4 wake-up call to the reality of extraterrestrial. And guess what really pisses me off? Is that when I went, as soon as this thing turned the light off and hang around here for a while, the light turns up again. He must have stayed there a couple of minutes or so, at least what I can recall. Then he took off maybe 5 feet above the chimney of a farm across the road, okay? Right there. And there was power lines, there were everything there. Unbelievable. Now, I went back into the car, looking at my brother. My heart was pounding. His heart was jumping out of his chest. And you know what he says to me? He says, "Louis, this didn't happen. You cannot talk about it. Don't say a word about it. People will think we are crazy. Don't say a word." All right. I thought I was going to smack him right there, but I kept my control, and we drove to the discotheque. When we arrived at the discotheque, usually it's empty. It was full. It was going. It was incredibly busy, like always. Where my brother and I went, we had a little time. That could have been any time. Time and space, there is no time anyway. What happened? My brother Joe is very proud. He has never smoked and never drank in his life. Apart from that night. I was one end of the bar, he was on the other end of the bar. We were looking at each other's. He had a cigar like this, and he was pumping on it. He doesn't know how to smoke it. And he had a glass of scotch in front of him. Everybody was looking at him like, we were in the zone. We were in the zone. Now guess what? This son of a gun, for 25 or 30 years, never ever mentioned anything to anybody in the family. Until one Christmas night, he says, "Oh, I deserve to tell you, my children deserve to know the truth, and Louis needs to be thought as a normal person." Yes, it did happen. He started to, explain what happened that night. So many years later, my brothers and sisters were looking at me like if I was finally normal. Okay. Incidentally, the very next day, because I know my brother didn't say a word, my mom calls me. She says, "Hey, Louis, what happened to you and your brother last night?" This means he's very close to my mom. He already told my mom. He had to say it to somebody. And my mom made a promise to never say anything. And she waited many, many years later when he decided to divulge the truth. That is an incredible experience. And all the experts in ufology that talks about UFOs, I wonder how many of them have had a flying saucer 30 feet above their head. And in one of my experiences, I went inside. Hang on, let you know more about that one later on. It looks like if a lot of people that either deny the reality of extraterrestrials are jealous. Because why him? Why her? Why not me? I explain to you why. You can only be a chosen one and be part of their experiment for progress and repopulating other area in the universe if you vibrate at a level that are interested physically, mentally, psychically. If you're a Joe Six-Pack, I ain't gonna be looking after you because you do not vibrate at their level. Remember, magnet do not attract a piece of wood. In order to attract, you gotta believe. The same thing is like once I parked my Corvette, top was off. I parked it in front of a bar. When I came out, I saw a cigarette butt on my leather seat and spit on the windshield and the hood. How in a million years can you attract such a beautiful Corvette, red Corvette, the top of the line Corvette? How can you attract this if you spit on it? Where is your head? That's why you can't be jealous of other people's success. That's why you have to endorse. If you see somebody who wins the lottery, who doesn't need the money, be happy for that person. Do not feed evil. Because now, subconsciously, you are dealing with forces. You are dealing with forces that you cannot handle. You're not even aware of. That's what I'm trying to do. Make you aware of those forces so they work on your favor. Again, read Beyond the Secret and get an idea. I'm going to do something better there. You get this book and I give you another 90 minutes of hypnotherapy for free so I can clean up your subconscious in case you're depressed, in case you think you're embedded by negative ghosts, God knows what. Let me take care of your psyche because that's what I do. This is what I do. It's my expertise. Trust me to take care of you, period. You want the truth, you find the truth. You want the real thing, you got the real thing. You want CNN before CNN with prediction, you got me. That's it. And don't think you're looking at me, and listening to me by accident. You have formulated a wish to grasp the truth. There is no accident. That's why you're listening to me. You asked for me. Now, after this experience, I thought, whoa, wait a minute here. Now, I have in hand the solid, real proof that extraterrestrial and UFOs are real, at least as far as flying saucers is concerned. Can't know anything about my first experience with those three monkeys with big black eyes. I was a kid. The second one was quite of an interesting revelation. And unless you go through that personally like I did, you can only assume that I was drunk or I do pot, which I never ever took any drugs in my life. God thanks for that. Now, I went back to England and I thought, couldn't take that picture of that flying saucer. I couldn't take that experience away from my mind. I just could not. It was too much. That what's going on here? Then I had to keep, going. I had to do my stuff, music, whatever I was doing in those days. And then I went back home again a year later or so. And I arrived home and everybody was there, but my sister Noelle was not there. And I asked my mom, I said, where is Noelle? Oh, she just left. I said, where? Well, it's Sunday. She said, well, she has to take the bus to go to work tomorrow. Okay. During those days, my sister was working in the mountain, lost somewhere in the mountain over there. Anyway, she came back and she was crying. She was upset. I was very happy to see my little sister because I didn't know when I was going to see her again a year or two later. Because, trip from England to France, even though I did many times, was very expensive for me. With the type of lifestyle I had, working 3 jobs to make a misery. Couldn't even afford a car. Oh yeah, I could barely afford my cigarette. In those days I was smoking my lager. Anyway, so she came back and she was upset. She didn't want to, lose a job. And my mother says, you know what, Louis, you need to take her to where she works. So, you take I think it was my older brother's car, and you drive there. I was about 23, 22, 24, can't remember. But I was pretty young. And I think this experience with my sister actually took place before my brother, before, I remember the date of November 11, 1981, because it's so dramatic. You can't forget those dates, including the other one that I have. So I believe that story I'm saying now took place before. So I went back into the car with my sister. She had a little suitcase, and there we go. Now, during those days, no GPS, never read a map. I didn't know what the hell I was going. I just knew I had to follow some sign from whatever, asking direction all along. This is how we used to do things in those days. And I started to drive. Now, let's cut the story short. It's about 4:30 in the morning. I'm exhausted. I'd been driving through the mountains, up and down. There was snow everywhere. What the hell am I? Anyway, and as I drove, I saw the bottom of a valley. I saw some light. I said, oh my gosh, finally something. I arrived at this little hotel, auberge, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, open. Wait a minute here. Later on, I thought, Jesus Christ, this is not America. We have 24-hour service. This is not McDonald's. Okay? This is France. How come this place was open in the middle of nowhere? There's no accident again. I parked the car. There's nobody but me. So I parked the car right by the door. I wake my sister up. And my sister, I asked her, I said, hey, well, we're going to stop here. I need a cup of coffee because I'm falling asleep. And I'm going to ask for directions. What do you want to drink? So my sister woke up and then she said, oh, I want a Coca-Cola. It was freezing cold outside. She wanted to have a Coca-Cola. Women, anyway. I'm very protective of my little sister, so I said, okay, you're going to sit here by the door. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to get the drink, and then we're going to go. Because I know where we're going, where we are at. Anyway, so I went to the bar, and as I walk, I didn't know I was going to go through one of the most dramatic UFO experiences in my life. I had no idea what I was up against. As I walked towards the bar, there was 3 guys. I mean, I'm not joking. My nose was at the belt of these 3 guys. They were looking ahead of them. They were not talking. They were motionless. They were faceless. They were just at the bar. 3 guys at the bar. I immediately thought they were guys that were working. They are loggers because they were so big. They got to be, I don't know what they would do there anyway. So I went to the barman and I said, excuse me, can I have a Coca-Cola and a coffee, please? He said, yes. And he gave me the Coke first, and I went back to my sister. I gave it to my sister. She was already gone back to sleep. Then I went back to the bar. My coffee was ready. And I was about to leave, and the guy says, hey, do you want to play cards? So I look at him. I said, you know what, man? I don't know how to play cards. And to this day, I'm 62. I don't even know how to play poker. I only play tarot, and each hand is a winner. I win each time. I make money each time I do the tarot card. And when he said to me, you're going to be friends with the card for the rest of your life, I had no idea what he meant. Now I know what he meant. And then, I thought he's big. There's 3 of them. My little sister is there, so I might as well just, go for it. I was going to ask where I was to the barman, but I was so impressed by these guys. Completely lost my mind here. I was a little bit scared. Then he looked at me from where I was, pick another card. So I pick another card. And each time I look at the card, as soon as my eyes sees the card, he tells me what the card is. I look at him and I say, oh, this is a good game, this is a good game. He looked at me and he says, Louis, this is not a game. Oh, ho, 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 wait a minute here. I don't remember introducing myself to this guy. Never did introduce myself to this guy. So how does he know my name? I was in shock. He says, pick another card. Then in my mind, it's like if he forced me to think this guy is in my head. So in my mind, I thought, I'm going to challenge him. I'm going to tell him that I have I pulled the queen of spades. Yeah, I think if I recall, I pulled the queen of spades, and in my mind, I told him I'm going to tell him the 9 of diamond. I wanted to check. He looked at me and he says, Louis, you are not going to change the queen of spades for the 9 of diamond. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my God. I put my hand on the bar like this, and at that very precise moment, I felt like if somebody was sticking a screwdriver from here, come out from there. This is how I felt. This is how I felt. I was holding myself at the bar. Oh, what the hell's going on in my head? And then I asked the barman, where's the bathroom, please? He says, right here. The bathroom was from here to the fountain behind me. The door was open. I managed to get to the bathroom. I opened the frozen cold water, put that on my face, okay, trying to keep my balance and not to pass out because of the pain. And I was connected with this guy. It's like if I was dragging my head on the floor with a big chain. I was like this, you know. What the hell are you? What are you doing to me? What's going on here? And I said, you know what? You may be big, but man, you're going to tell me what the hell you're doing to me. And it doesn't take long to refresh. Maybe 5-6 seconds when all this happened in my head, and I walk back to the bar. Guess what? The 3 of them, they disappeared. They were not there anymore. I look at the barman and I said, well, where are they? He says, oh, those 3 guys, they just left. So I look at my sister. She was still sleeping on the side. I was happy with that. I went outside and I look, and I listen. Nothing. Nothing. I went back and says, hey man, who are these guys? Who's this guy? Do you know them? He said, no, they must have come with you because, you know. No, they were there before. Yeah, but did you see their car? I said, no, there was no car. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's so very real, people. I'm not making it up. Then I went straight to my sister, woke her up and said, no, let's get the F out of here right now. Let's get out of here now. She said, what's going on? I said, just go. Go, go. I get her in the car. I don't even think I paid the guy. Took off. Now this is where it gets really interesting, people. Really interesting. The next thing I remember, it's about 9 o'clock the next day. I'm driving back to Pont Saint-Esprit, to the village where I left the day before. I don't recall driving. I don't recall taking my sister anywhere. She doesn't remember anything but just when we stopped at the bar. And worse, the headache that I was left with lasted many, many weeks, and I would never wish it on my worst enemy. And I had no idea what those guys did to me. Did they finish something that started when I was a kid? What did they do to me? And to this day, I'm pissed off because I don't know. And that is not a dream. That is a real UFO story. This is a real hand-on experience with extraterrestrials. And I don't know how many people walk out there in the middle of the mountain, in the middle of the night, okay, and end up with the freaking headaches for days afterwards and disappear the entire night. That is a true story. Now, there is no words to really qualify how I felt, where I was, because, you know, this is such a personal type of experience. You have to go through yourself to really feel it the way I did. So, push the clock now all the way to November 11, 1981, where I already explained what happened with my sister. Now and with my brother. Now it's three. When I was a kid, with my sister and my brother. And the third one, that's where I start to make notes. Look at the date. Went back to England, and I really thought, it looks like if there is something much more for me to do than just to cut, record, and sing on stage and be a recording artist. There is something more. There is something more. I had no idea what it was. Then one day I went to a discotheque and I met, for the first time in my life, I met an American guy. He was at a bar, we became friends, and he gave me a couple of quarters and this business card. He says, I live in San Diego. Yeah, if one day you come to America, you know where I am. But you know, you should have never said that to me, because I'm the type of guy I'm in business. Whatever I say or whatever I do, I'm in business. I said, okay, I'll be there probably within the next 5 to 6 months. I had no money. How am I going to get the money to pay for the plane? How am I going to get the paperwork? I did my passport, I did all that I had to do, and luckily for me, out of the blue, I mean, remember, in time and space, the superconscious will listen to you. I need the money to go to America. I need the money to go to America. I look at the paper. In Germany, they were looking for high-skilled welder, AN Section 1. That's what I am. Welding for nuclear, very precise type of welding. And I have my background is in engineering. So I went to Germany and in front of a bunch of guys, I passed the test and they hired me. The story that happened in Germany, again, I'll tell you all this world. They are not to do with UFOs. It's all in my book. It's just totally incredible. Anyway, 3 months later, I had the money. I had the passport, I had it all ready. Bye-bye cold, wet England. You know, bye-bye your cloud, bye-bye your breakfast. I'm going to America, and I landed in California, in LA. My gosh, when I first flew over this big, huge city, I said, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I only have $50 in my pocket. I hope this guy is gonna help me. I had my life here. I had my suitcase, the bag, took the Greyhound from LA, and a lot of things happened in between that are totally, again, incredible to believe. It's all in my book. Right in San Diego, the bus dropped me at the bus stop here. I show him the address. He says that's where you want to be dropped at, on Mission Boulevard in San Diego. And there I was with my suitcase in April, and I was walking by the seafront, and I was looking at everything around me. I was in a new world, and I was so scared. So what am I going to do? Oh my gosh, I got to find this guy before the night comes in. So I work, find out, ask people, you know, and I finally locate the shop, the address of the shop. I had no telephone. Remember, cell phone didn't exist then. So I walk all the way to this place, and I arrive there. There was two very old people, kind of retirees in that shop, was selling T-shirts and God knows what. I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy! Finally, I made it." He says, "Yeah, what do you mean?" "I want to talk to John. Here, he gave me his card. He told me he was going to help me." So they look at the cards and they said, "John, when did you meet this person?" I said, "About 6 months ago." "We don't know any John." I said, "But is that the address?" "Yeah, that's the exact address." I said, "But there's a telephone here." I said, "Can I please talk to him? Maybe, I don't know what happened here. Maybe it's misprint or something." He said, "Yeah." He made a call. The number was not even alive. What the hell? There I am now in America, in a place where a guy that's supposed to help me never existed. He's not there. What happened? Why? So I left. And out of the $50 I had left in my pocket, I spent my first night in a little motel. And the next day, when I got up, I looked at a newspaper called the La Jolla Light. And there was an advertisement for a roommate. I called the lady, not knowing better. And I walk. She said, oh, it's next door. I live in the Tide in La Jolla. You know, it's not too far from Mission Boulevard. You know, in America, when in France, in my village, they say it's next door, you can cross my village in 5 minutes, right? But from Mission Boulevard to La Jolla, that's miles. I had no idea, and I didn't want to spend the money, so I walk. I left at 8 o'clock in the morning. I must have reached my destination in the afternoon. I got was what, exhausted, knocking the door, and I arrived with my suitcase, and this lady opened the door. She goes, oh my gosh, you're pretty fast. You're moving in or what? I said, no. So she let me in, give me something to drink. I explained my situation and this and that. And she said, you know what? I need 4 people like you. We all put $500 a month and we can have a big house by the ocean right here in La Jolla. Luckily for me, her daughter was behind in French. And she said, I tell you what, I'm going to give you my couch for now until you can get yourself together and you can teach my daughter a little bit of French. That's how it all started for me. The very next day I had a job, I had a place to stay. My gosh, I was led to the United States of America. I was led to every single thing that transpired all the way up to today. Little did I know, because I thought the UFO business, the extraterrestrial business, the flying saucer business was behind me. I didn't come to America to do that job. I came to America with my recording tapes. I came to America to show what I could do musically speaking. And when I finally went to LA and showed that master tape, and all the British guys, my friends, playing behind me, they wanted to fly everybody. They wanted to fly the band. They wanted me to record that She's No Your song that was a hit in Europe. And all of a sudden, my entire dream to become a recording artist, the most incredible wish I ever had, for some reason dissipated. I just did not want to do this no more. And I turned them down. They were pissed off at me. Did you realize how lucky you are? You're coming from Europe. We want to take on with you. We want to help you. And you're turning us down. I said, I'm sorry. I don't feel it anymore. Something happened to me that my drive to get into the musical industry dried off. And I did not know that God, cosmic code, the universe, and my superconscious had a very specific mission for me during those days. I had no idea. Again, remember, in this book, everything is in details. And there are times where you're going to read this book, you're going to say, that's impossible. Dr. Cher is lying. I'm not lying. All that you are listening and watching now, and all you read in this book, which is setting all over the place, is true. Check it. You got so much to learn about what cannot be seen, and realize what cannot be seen doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Let's keep going. Came to the most important experience I ever had. I turned Dr. Cher into who he is today. I got married to a beautiful American girl. I needed my green card. She was pretty. Married her, stayed with her for 12 years. Everything was fine. Until August 11, 1991. Remember the first one? November 11, 1981. That one is August 11, 1991. Now, Brigitte is a very beautiful young woman. And she's into modeling, she's into acting. And we were, during those days, living in Oceanside, California. And she wanted to join a contest, a beauty pageant or something like that. And gosh, she could easily have won because she is a beautiful woman. Blue eyes, long curly hair, very magnetic. She had it all to succeed, and I trusted that. A lot of things happened in between, of course. Now, during those days, I was working in San Diego on the US base, and then from there, because of my highly qualification, they sent me to Pearl Harbor, where I worked again on the US base as a welder during those days. And then the job situation became really bad in 1991, and they laid me off. So we kind of returned from Hawaii to San Diego. Looking for a job, it was very, very hard. Couldn't find a job. Little did I know that I was going to find myself a job that would keep me busy for the rest of my life and bring the American dream a reality. Little did I know. That day, she says to me, look, we have to go to Katela, which is just before Anaheim, or around Disneyland. That's where the Hilton Hotel, or one of these hotels, is where the pageant, the show was going on. She said, we have to go there tomorrow. So she signed up, she does all the paperwork, and then I asked her, we need to go to bed early so you can have your beauty sleep, and tomorrow, everything will be okay. It was just a normal day for me. My gosh. Same time, around 4 o'clock in the morning, Bridget woke up. She started to scream. She was paranoid. She was laying down on the floor. She was in a fetus position. She was screaming. I thought, my gosh, somebody's going to call 911. They think I'm killing my wife. She was afraid. She was crying. And I said, what's going on? Then she grabbed me. She didn't want to let me go. She said, I don't know. There's something here. Look under the bed. Look at there. And never, ever, ever in 10 years or so marriage with that woman, never see her like this. So she's going insane. What's going on with her? So I looked everywhere. She was behind me. I flashlight. We went up and down. And then finally, she went back to bed. And I don't know how we managed to go back to sleep. I thought she was going crazy. I said she's got a panic attack or something. First time, I got really, really scared because, I thought my wife would go, disturbed like that. Anyway, the next day I said to her, there's no point of going there because you look terrible. See, I'm honest. And she said, no, let's go. We can always go and see Grandma, whatever. At least I can see what's going on. I want to see what's going on. So, exactly 8 o'clock in the morning, I have already filled up my tank, and I am on I-5 going towards LA. As we drove, I turned the radio off, and I approached the topic of the night before. I wanted to know why she lost it, and she said, I don't want to talk about it. There was something in the house. And then we drove through Jamboree, a big bridge that said Jamboree. We drove through that, and then it felt if the car was going into a cloud, and I didn't feel the wheel under the car. What's going on here? The next thing I know, I am at 35 miles per hour on the bumps like this. And my wife's screaming at me, hey, pick up your speed. What are you doing? You're all over the highway. I said, I don't know. And then I look around me, I could not make sense of anything. I could not recognize anything. Where the hell am I? Where are we? And she goes, look, I haven't seen the sign of Disneyland yet. I haven't seen LA, anything. Just keep driving. And I said, honey, something is wrong. She was so confused. She opened the glove compartment. She took the United States map and look on the map to go to Anaheim, something we've done a million times, to tell you how shocked where something did happen, but we didn't know. Then I said, look, I got to exit. I got to get out of here. I took my first exit, and I ended up in a big, huge parking lot. There was 3 Mexican guys, I will never forget, on the white Toyota truck. They were eating their sandwiches. So I said to my wife, Bridget, stay here, hon, I'll be right back. I'm going to ask where we are. We went there, and I asked the guys, excuse me, could you tell me where we are? The guys looked at me. They look at it. You, ¿está bien la cabeza? They thought I was doing drugs or something. But I was not. I was very confused. They said to me, well, you are at the Los Angeles Zoo parking lot. I said, excuse me? Yes, you are after Los Angeles. Oh, I say, okay, what's the time, please? 9 la mañana. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. Oh my gosh, I said, oh damn it, it happened again. Okay, now I have to go back and tell my wife. So I went back into the car, sat next to my wife, I grabbed her hand and said, honey, do you remember when I married you, I told you about this UFO thing? She said, yeah. So what? You know, Bridget, being a Taurus, she's down to earth, she's logical, she's rational, she's a normal psychic type, a taste, but curious, especially with me. She grew up a little bit on that field. And I said, honey, we are after Los Angeles at the zoo parking. And then she goes, honey, next time we go through Los Angeles and I don't see it, you let me know, okay? That's to tell you how confused she was. Anyway, we couldn't make sense why we end up nearly 60 miles west in a fraction of a second. It took us nearly 2 hours to go back to Catella with all the traffic and everything. In fact, if I had a Ferrari, there is no traffic in Los Angeles and no cops to stop me. I could have done that if I was driving 150 or 60 miles per hour, whatever. It's impossible. It's just impossible. At least they dropped me north. North. They didn't drop me west into the ocean. So that's the good news. So as soon as I arrive at the hotel, she says to me, I don't want to go back to the house. I'm going to call my friends. My mother lives in Phoenix. I'm going to go there. I don't want to be there. Little did I know yet that the extraterrestrial took the fetus of our unborn child. Very, very real. Very serious. Then I called Sean Atlantean. As I was talking, I was so disturbed. And somebody told me, oh, there is this UFO guy here. His name is Sean Atlantean. Maybe he can help you with that. So we called him. He came right away. He put that tape, which I have still today, the tape of with our emotion, with our feeling, explaining from A to Z what happened to us. My wife and I are on that tape. I have that tape. And that's where it all started, literally. Because he said, look, I have 2 doctor friends. They are clinical hypnotherapists. And what we're going to do, we're going to take you to Victorville, okay? And are you willing to take sodium panathol? I said, absolutely. I had a friend that was an MD, and he said, you can do that if I am there, because I'll make sure to resuscitate you if anything. Or you have to be on the right environment to do that. So there we go to Victorville. There was a camera. No, there was actually 3 cameras there. One on my face, one on my body, and one on the side. When they flip that camera on, in 1 hour later or more, when everything was said and done, you could see that I was really under. Nothing moved. The only thing you see me is perspiring tremendously when I talk about entering a confined area into a flying saucer, a decontamination type of area. So this is, and I have the tape also. I have the videotape of the abduction and all that transpired. I have this videotape for the skeptics. What happened is, the flying saucer above us, on the way to Los Angeles, somewhere somehow, sucked the car in. I recall trying to calm my wife that was screaming and tell her that I've been there before, I've done that, it's all fine. It's like if I had an agreement of some sort, I don't know. Then the 3 guys that I have seen in November 11 and with my sister, when we got lost in the mountain, those 3 guys was there. Tall, blonde, Nordics, human-like, management-like. They opened my door, and I followed them. The door slides open. It's like we were in the belly of the garage area of the saucer or something like that. We went inside, and that's where we were in the decontamination room. They stayed outside. I could recall looking outside through a window, and I saw the earth that size. That tells you how high we were. Very clear, very beautiful, very clear, Mother Earth. I stayed there for a while, and I complained because I'm hot, and then you could see us on videotape sweating. Then I walk, the door slides, go through. I walk inside the flying saucer. I see all the grays playing with the electronics. I see all sorts of things. I'm looking at everything, and I'm looking for my wife, and I see her. I look at her, she's laying down on the glass table, and they're doing some work on her. And for your information, after everything, she showed me, very shocked and very surprised, of a 2 inches cat just above the airline made with a laser. Right here. And trust me, that was not there before. I know. So, I look at them working on her, and I'm calm. I'm okay with that. It's like, I agree with that. Okay, take the fetus. You got big things to do. Then I know it's my time, and I walk into a room. I sat. I'm not attached to anything. I sat on the chair. Something came down from the roof, from the ceiling, like a helmet, like this. Something came down like this on top of my head. Okay? And at the moment there, I felt like a mixture of electricity, glass, steel, fire, air, water. I felt every single element in my body. There is no way to explain how I felt. What they were doing is downloading the cosmic codes and giving me a mission to free humanity from fear and ignorance and reintroduce Jesus' ministry. Yes, those 3 wise men following the stars, they were not kings, they were astrologers. They knew a superhuman being called Jesus was going to be born to lead the age of Pisces the last 2,000 years. And those 3 wise men didn't just give Jesus a present and took off on their camel. They stayed with Jesus. They educated Jesus. They brought his cosmic consciousness. And that's where Jesus wanted to introduce humanity to our Father in the heavens. But not as the Illuminati wants you to know. Not as the mumble-jumble, jargon, lying, archaic material you are reading in any man-made religious book. Would it be the Quran? Would it be the Bible? Would it be the Torah? No. When I came back from that experience, of course my wife divorced me. Who can blame her? There are real extraterrestrial and real abductees and real contactees left with a real gift. Something that have shown all over the world. Something that have dealt with my good friend George Norrie, Art Bell on radio, giving very specific predictions. The 9/11, the tsunami, both tsunami, earthquakes, letter, email signed to USGS, the Seismologist Institute in California, in Pasadena, giving exact date of earthquakes, well before they happened. 7.3 earthquakes. It's all documented, printed, published, announced on radio and television. How more real can you be? If you investigate my past, you will see that Dr. Turi is one of the rare kinds that have been marked by extraterrestrial connection since he was a child for a very specific mission. And it's time for the world to know. That's why I'm here doing this today, for you. Then I develop a software because people think that I'm another Mrs. Cleo out there. Wait a minute, don't assume. I'm more logical, I'm more rational, I'm more practical than what you can ever be. With the help of Alohan software, I developed a software that allows me to point out and cast those stars above your head and to know exactly what they're going to do to you. Initiating your fate, your health, your career, your friends, your wish, even your death. It's there. No, I'm not a psychic, I don't predict anything. But you know and I know nature has a pattern. The season return, the news come back. I understand the dynamics, I understand the mechanics of the universal mind. That's why I'm so precise in giving you predictions of natural disaster. I have done it over and over and over and over and again. Much better than what NASA and what all your geologists and scientists can do. They're mad at me because I do better without taking your taxes. That's where you should appreciate Dr. Turi. When is the last time NASA or USGS give you either a location or a time for any disaster? They never did and they never will. At least I'm giving you a time. If they wanted to put their educated ego on the side and start to work with me on the false activity, I have the timing. We can find the location and help humanity at large. Oh no, Dr. Turi is not a doctor. He does not belong to us. Again, those people haven't yet learned the difference between education, a real gift, and what happened to me was extraterrestrial. And intelligence. I'm not supposed to do that. Remember, I'm not a geologist. I'm not a doctor. I don't kill anybody. I don't suck your taxes. But the fact is there. I do it. And I'll do it again and again and again. I've done it. It's repetitive. It can be scientifically proven if they give me a chance. Will they? And the pigs start to fly. There goes my good friend George Norrie. I'm one of his favorites. Always endorses me. In public, on the radio. Always. Because he knows. He knows Dr. Turi has something. Thank you for being my friend and endorsing me, George. Following these experiences, I couldn't help myself. Went back home, my house. See what I did? Every single corner of my house, every single corner. I'm going to get closer so you can see. You can see. See? I'm getting closer so you can see. I painted my entire house. Don't you think the shock, the emotions, the power is so powerful, is so real that I couldn't help myself to draw and painted my entire house and start my career as I'm doing it today? You think I did that because I wanted to be funny? It's real. It's my soul. It's my experience. It's my values. It's my wisdom, my ingenuity reflected from all those experiences. So when you're talking about people who talk about UFOs and never seen one, I have the right to be a little bit upset. Because there's a big difference between divine information as I'm giving you now and pure imagination. Or repeating like a parrot what they read or what they saw on a video. Yeah. I was doing a conference. I'm going to be closer again. I was doing a conference in Sedona. And this is what happened to me. Another one. And it is known in Sedona to have those triangle objects flying about. Let me tell you, only 2 days ago, 2 days ago, I was right here on my patio. I was kind of feeding my dogs. And then I saw what seems to be an airplane coming. But it was much, much too high to be an airplane. I live 15, 20 miles from the airport. I see planes all over the place. I know it's an airplane. And when they're very high, they leave a wide train. What is that, I thought. So I always have my goggle, super powerful goggle, ready. And I look at it. Now listen to this. That plane was going this direction. What seems to be a plane, but it was not a plane. It was coming that direction, and I was watching it with my goggle. All of a sudden, right in front of me, this plane goes like this. How in the hell it is possible for any of our technology, any airplane, to go that direction and go all of a sudden, as I'm watching it, backwards? Any plane has to make a turn, eventually go up and turn back. Okay? No plane goes that direction the same speed and all of a sudden turn in reverse. That's what I saw 2 days ago. Before that, I had a bright object right in front of my house. Again, it's on YouTube, and people were saying, wow, it's a balloon. A balloon, it was a national holiday. There is no scientist sending balloon on the blue sky of Phoenix, Arizona, when you have 300 more days of pure sunshine. Excuse me. No, it was not a balloon. I'm mad because I should have kept my camera on this light as I talk. Okay? Because as soon as you turn it off, this light went took off. I could have that on camera. But it was not my time just yet to give you a physical, true manifestation and true proof of the reality of extraterrestrials. It was not my time. So, when it comes down to it, this is what you get. You get Dr. Cherry. The gift that the extraterrestrials have left me is impressive. It's incredible, literally out of this world. But one thing sure, it's a very solid, tangible gift. The gift of predictive astrology that nobody does the way I do. Making predictions before they happen. Putting for the public to judge my values. Yes, Obama will not be re-elected, contrary to what many other people have said. The election is a few days from today. Why would I take such a chance if I did not know? And that's the difference between Dr. Cherry and anybody else. Until then, if you want to know what it means to be human, if you want to know all about who you are, if you're qualified to be a chosen one or want to know more about UFOs, you better have the stars. Because UFO and extraterrestrial do not integrate ourselves in this dense physical world when they feel like they are fully cosmic conscious and use the uranic energy to do so. Something I can teach you to. You need my services? I'm real, I'm true, and I give the facts. Looking into your future, and divulging the for next year energy that's ahead of you, teaching you the universal laws, where is your natal and hidden dragon, explaining your UCI, your unique celestial identity, either on a tape or on Skype Live, is something that is an incredible experience from Dr. J, from our heart to yours. Goodbye, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this little show.